Hello everybody, my name is Will and welcome back to Flyout. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be designing a parasol wing fighter. Now this is a kind of concept of plane that didn't really work. I mean, it kind of took the monoplane idea and they were like, yeah, it's got one wing, but they got rid of the wrong wing. You still needed lots of struts and support for the wing. It wasn't just loaded on the fuselage with spars running inside internally. They had to be external, and that added drag. And to be honest, I think it's one of those plane designs where you look at it and you go, I can see why that didn't catch on, but it's something that has always been interesting to me, and so we're doing it. And this one's going to be a little bit interesting because it's going to be an inline engine. Most of the planes that you see with the parasol wing configuration tended to more lean towards a radial engine. I don't think there's a particular reason for that. I think that just so happened to be the trend at the time and the engines that were available for these kind of projects. But you know what? We're going for an inline engine. We're going for a V12. And why not? So this is inspired by a real-life design that Britain built, which was called the Wizard, the Westland Wizard, which is just a great name for an aircraft. And I didn't know about this thing until like a couple days ago, and all of a sudden it was all that I could think about. Everywhere I look, I see him. It's a really cool little design. I'm a huge fan of the Westland Wizard. More of that Westland if you weren't defunct like 60 years ago. But you know what? Close enough. 60 years. I can travel that far back in time to get a parasol wing fighter, except, you know, that was jet era, so maybe not. Where were we? I don't know. Okay, so one thing that I would like to do with this design is, because I spent a really long time on this fuselage, and I genuinely think this is maybe the best fuselage I've built in Flyout, so I don't really want to just use it for one thing and just leave it at that. I would kind of like to develop this a little bit further. So if you like the look of one of the two varieties of this plane that you're going to see in this video, we're going to build one which is the traditional low wing version, and then one parasol wing. We're going to start with the parasol wing because that is the point of this video, but that, you know, low wing version is going to appear towards the end of the video, so if you just want to see that, you can skip ahead to that. But if you let me know in the comment section below, and I might put a poll in my YouTube community tab, which is going to be a little bit easier to collate the results through, then feel free to vote on your favorite, and I will then take whichever one wins, and I will develop that into, like, what if this aircraft had a production run in the early stages of the Second World War? So think early Hurricane designs, early Spitfire kind of competitor, that kind of era of aircraft. So yeah, a little bit more sleek, a little bit more refined, and quite a hell of a lot faster than this thing actually ends up being in this video, because, well, mostly because I'll probably try and give it an engine with similar power to the Merlin. I won't exactly copy the Merlin because I cannot be bothered. If I'm being entirely honest, that sounds like a lot of work, but we can go for a rough thereabouts on it. Also, I still need to get so much better at doing interiors of planes. I think generally I'm still improving when it comes to building fuselages and building wings. This I feel like it was another step forward. I say this a lot, but I do think that this is the best in maybe the best that I've built so far in terms of just fuselage design. So hopefully you agree with that, because I'm very proud of this one, and I want my little goofy parasol wing fighter to be remembered fondly. I don't want it to go down in the you know, back burner of history. Back burner of history? I don't know, that doesn't really work. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about what we're going to be doing today. Now, how are you doing? I have fully run out of conversation topics. Yeah, I mean, when I was ill, At least I had the conversation topic of being ill. That one's gone now. I'm not ill anymore, so I can't use that one. You know, gonna be off from work for a few days soon. So there you go. That's exciting. Maybe you want to hear about what I'm having for dinner. I don't know. I don't know what I'm having for dinner. Haven't looked at the dates of the things in the fridge. That's probably going to decide it. Yeah, there you go. What are your opinions on the Challenger space shuttle disaster? That took a turn, didn't it? You weren't expecting that one. You don't actually have to give your opinions, don't worry. If you already have, then that's fine. But also you don't have to, because I feel like that could end badly, generally, in the comment section. Not the kind of thing that you're probably expecting me to go on a tangent about, but you should know better by now, honestly. Tailplanes. Yeah, this thing has, like, that World War I biplane tailplane. Just 180ing right back around to the whole plane discussion, because I said that and I just immediately regretted saying that. Luckily for me, and probably also for you at this point, this building segment is about to end, so you don't have to listen to me anymore. So, yeah, farewell. Enjoy the slightly more sane conversations of past me. Okay, and here is the Cardinal for your perusal. This is a Parasol wing fighter, and oh, that's gonna bother me if I don't fix that. How did I not notice that till now? Goodness me. Okay, annoying wing spars fixed. There we go. This is the Cardinal. So this is a Parasol wing fighter, and yeah, I mean, despite the modern-ish looking fuselage, this almost has Spitfire kind of shapes going on. This is meant to be from like the late to mid 1920s, so like 27, 26 kind of era, just when we were starting to get just a hang of how to design a plane, but we hadn't quite worked out where the wings should go yet. So this thing is powered by a little V12 here. This is producing 652 kilowatts of power at peak RPM, which is... That's actually 874 horsepower. That is more than I thought I was getting out of this engine, actually. But one of the weirdest parts about this plane is the gun placement, as you can see, is in these little divots in the hull, either side of the cockpit. So the guns are actually kind of like underneath the pilot here. I still need to get better at doing internals. Look, the wing kind of hides it on this one. It's fine. Let's see how it flies, and hopefully we can at least get off the ground, because that would be nice. Okay, and here we are on the runway now. Because handily the engine stalls if you don't throttle up, which I could fix, but it does actually give us a demonstration. As you can see, two-bladed propeller going on here. It's spinning again, and it's you know what? I really like this thing. It's my first attempt at a proper kind of livery in a long time. It's not complex, but, you know, I've done a little bit of smoke around where the guns are, out where the exhausts are, and it just adds a little bit of something, you know? I like it. So let's turn on the engine. And let's go for a takeoff. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful on takeoff, because it is quite easy to... just spin this thing out because of the amount of torque from these blades. But if we can get her up to about 100-ish kilometers an hour, we should be good. And no, that's not. Yeah, this is gonna be a failed takeoff here. So I believe this is a bug. Don't hold me on this one, but I believe, for some reason, when you're building a plane like a propeller plane, that just kind of has this weird suction where it sucks the tip of your wings towards the ground. So you kind of need to get up to your takeoff speed pretty snappy-like before it can really kick in. And there you go. We've had no problems this time, and we do need quite a lot, as you can see where my mouse actually is compared to where we're going. We do need quite a lot of trim on this thing just to keep it going in a straight line, because this is quite the large propeller compared to the actual size of the plane, but obviously only two blades, so it's not as bad as you might expect. But yeah, this is the plane. What I'm gonna do is We're going to absolutely ham it over here in this ravine, and we're going to see how fast we can get at sea level, and hopefully, I'm aiming for about 320 kilometers an hour, and if that fails, I do actually have a low-wing version of this, which is going to have slightly less drag because of these wing spars that we need to have to keep the structure sturdy, which we don't need, but, you know, realistically, it would have. Okay, after a little bit of tweaking of the prop pitch, we can just about bounce between 343 and 344 kilometers an hour. We do have a little bit of a tailwind, but you know what? That counts. So it's not too bad. Obviously, 870 horsepower, I'm not hugely surprised we can hit that speed. Compared to the horsepower, I feel like we should be going a little bit quicker, so there's probably some drag-inducing parts that I could reduce here. I mean, this cockpit, for instance, that has aerodynamics on, even though it technically clips into the hull quite a lot, so that's probably creating a fair amount of drag that wouldn't normally be there. And furthermore, there is actually, like, these sticks inside of the little landing legs here, so those are probably also adding a little bit of drag that doesn't need to be there. Generally, probably not the most ideal plane for top speed, but you know what? It looks cool. Now, because we can't have as small as 7mm guns, and oh yeah, by the way, it's very agile. It turns really, really nicely to the point where it kind of stalls itself out in an extended turn, but just don't turn that hard. It's that easy. Also, things to consider, the roll rate, not the best. I can't lie, the roll rate is not spectacular. However, yeah, obviously, made up for by this just flat turn time. Because we can't have 7mm guns, as I was saying before, we do actually have as big as 10mm guns.
Sorry, I was trying really hard to hold that in.
We do have as big as 10mm guns in this thing, with 400 rounds per gun, which is actually, for this era, not a bad amount of ammo. So, you know, it's pretty well armed actually for a you know, parasol fighter of this era. Yeah, they're just little pea shooters. But as I mentioned before, I did actually make a low-wing version of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this back in for a landing, and we're going to take out the low-wing version. And if you would do me a favor, if you take a look at them both, and then let me know in the comment section below, which one of these do you prefer the look of? And either one, I kind of want to see if I can put a more powerful engine in here, maybe get it up to like 1,200 horsepower, and optimize the wing shape, optimize the drag a little bit, give it some retractable landing gears, and see if we can make like a more modernized version of this that might compete with planes kind of like the Hurricanes or the early Spitfires, and just, you know, have a little bit of fun with this, because I'm really happy with this airframe, and I don't want to just leave it at this. Something else I could probably also reduce to get this thing a little bit quicker is we have 3 hours and 15 minutes of fuel, roughly, from takeoff, which is a crazy amount of fuel. That's way more than a fighter like this would ever need. So I could probably remove one of the fuel tanks just entirely from the plane and still have enough fuel to be a perfectly reasonably operational fighter. So that's something I might consider. Okay, here we come in for landing now. We're going to pop these flaps out, and hopefully, I'm hoping the stall speed of this thing is pretty slow so that we can bring her down at a roughly, like, below 120 is ideally where I'd like to touch down with this thing, because I feel like it should be able to do it. It's still not heavy, despite all of the things I've just listed off. And, yeah, I mean, it's still comfortably holding its altitude at about 110. Those brakes. Those brakes are a little overzealous. Okay, yeah, need to turn the brakes down is something I've just learned. Okay, so, bearing in mind with this one, which is really funking along to something, why is it bouncing so much? Please, stop bouncing. It's inappropriate. I'm trying to explain something serious here. Behave. Right, there we go. It's behaving. Right. Bearing in mind, I've removed the second fuel tank, which was previously underneath the engine, which wasn't a hugely logical place for it, but it balanced it out. We've only got one fuel tank now, so we're a lot lighter. I've shaved off about half a ton from this plane by making the wings a little weaker and also removing that fuel tank, and I've reduced the aerodynamic drag of this windshield here. So this will perform better. However, mostly, let me know, which one do you prefer the look of? So I kind of wanted to go for, like, the fuselage looks quite modern, but then the wings have this kind of interwar D510 kind of appearance to them. So let me know. I genuinely cannot decide between them. I think I prefer the parasol wing, but my opinions tend to be slightly skewed based on which is the weirder option, and the parasol wing is definitely the stranger option. We're not getting a particularly smooth takeoff there, but you know what, that'll do. It took off a hell of a lot quicker as well, though. That is probably partly due to the fact that I've removed 25% of the mass of the entire aircraft, as it only weighed about 2 tons before. But you know what? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We might even be able to reduce our horsepower and have a little bit more of an era-correct amount of horsepower, which would probably be more around 520 horsepower. Though I do not know the conversion to kilowatts off the top of my head, so I'd have to Google that. And as per usual, we're going to blast it through this valley and just see, can we top that 343 that we were getting before? Maybe even 350? Perhaps? Probably not, because the drag still going to be very similar. These are basically the same wings. They have a little bit more dihedral on them, but that doesn't affect top speed. That affects stability. Well, as it turns out, I should probably have a little bit more faith in in my design's top speed, because we are just about touching 390 kilometers an hour here on the deck, which that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'm genuinely pleasantly surprised by that. I really thought we would just be maybe at a push getting to 360, but to exceed 380 and nearly touch 390, which we kind of did, but not for a long extended period of time, that's pretty good, and gives me confidence that if I was to give this thing, you know, retractable landing gears and give it a little bit less drag, we might get up to 450 without much more horsepower. So yeah, maybe something we can invest in with a couple of future upgrades. But let me know which version of this you want to see developed. Do you want to see like a World War II adaptation of a parasol wing fighter, or do you want to see a more traditional low-wing Spitfire kind of thing? Let me know, and the fuselage probably won't get too many changes, but the actual wing structure gonna get a lot of changes, because you can see fuselage, modern looking, wings, ancient looking. And if you're wondering, I probably said this in the building segment, but this is somewhat inspired by the Westland Wizard, which, may I add, is the best name for a plane that has ever been come up with, ever, because wizards are cool. But yeah, long story short, the Wizard, it doesn't make sense in my head. It looks really cool, but it's got this weird interwar parasol wing, and that's the energy I wanted to get out of this thing. So if you look it up, you can definitely see the inspiration seeping through there. But, yep, I mean, we're not going to shoot down any target drones. We're nowhere near quick enough, and the guns are the same. So let's bring this in for landing, see if it's, any better to land. Given that the last one immediately did a front flip for us, which, points for style, not so much points for cranium durability. It's the weirdest thing I've ever said. Okay, here we go for our landing approach. Now, in theory, it doesn't feel right to say this, because normally, like, when planes went from biplanes to low-wing monoplanes, one of the things that got worse was the stall speed. But because we're lighter, we should have a slower stall speed. But actually, it doesn't seem to be the case, because I was just stalling out and I couldn't lift up. About 130. Maybe the ground effect will allow us to pull the nose up just a little bit more, which, yeah, it does seem to be doing. But but yeah, it's about the same. Hopefully, though, this time, once we bring her down... Oh, that's a bit rough. Oh, no, it's done the thing. It's done the thing. Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say hopefully the brakes don't tip us over. But as you can see, we mostly just use the wings to brake. But, yeah, there we go. I was on full brakes. We didn't fall over flat on our face. So, improvements all around. Apart from, you know, the whole falling over on the floor thing. I think that's a bug. I believe that's a bug. I'm really not sure. Maybe I'm just terrible at designing planes. It's entirely possible. But if you enjoyed this one, please leave a like, comment, and or subscribe. I really like this thing, and I'm probably going to spend a little bit more time developing this thing into another version of this plane, and depending on the results, that might either go up as a full video, or it might be the first, patron video, maybe. We'll see. But probably not, because, you know, exposure or something, I don't know. Right, I probably shouldn't have said all that. Goodbye! And as always, a huge thanks to this channel's patrons: Ambroise, CamJam135, Cody N, DT Pete, Gavin, Gamma929, Sad Cat, Just Casualty Season 1, Last Sergeant 11, Mark, Marlon, Gwecken, Mardley, Investor, Nicholas K, Rolsons, Bocken, Ryan Brody, Terra, the Keynesian Emperor, Wervesicle, Zerashime, and Zeit Wolverine. Thank you so much for your support. Goodbye.